Welcome to Marty Loves Homes. I'm Marty Pettiford, your Locust Grove Realtor. I also am a realtor in the Atlanta, Georgia area. So if you are in the area, you're looking for homes, this is the place to be. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can get all the information on beautiful homes around the Metro Atlanta area, as well as informational videos just like this one. So today we are here with Shonnie Alridge, and she is a realtor for the past 20 years, licensed in the state of Georgia, and she's also a licensed appraiser. So we're going to be talking to you about all things appraisals and what you need to know about this very important step in the home buying process. This is going to be a series, so make sure you catch all of the episodes on this, and we're just going to get to know everything we need to know about appraisals so buyers and sellers can know all they need to know about this very important step in the home buying and selling process. So thank you so much for joining me today. Yes. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into appraisals.
Yes. So yes, I'm Shonnie Alridge, and I have been in real estate for over 20 years. And a lot of real estate transactions involved with doing research about the particular home, that neighborhood, so that you can advise the client properly. So I've been doing that most of my career. And so during the pandemic, I just decided to kind of shift a little bit and put some focus into valuations and things like that. And so I got hired by a corporate client of mine to do appraisal inspections. And so doing that during the pandemic, being the essential worker during the pandemic.
It's crazy.
Yes. I was doing those inspections and I just was like, wow, this is really interesting. I like this. So I decided to go ahead and get my license and pursue my license during the pandemic, and it kind of happened.
Well, that's good. And it's also a secondary job. So if you're a realtor and you want to do things outside of just selling homes, an appraiser is like a very similar path. Right. And it's so needed right now too.
Yes. We are seeing that a lot of appraisers are older gentlemen, and they are retiring. They are, in some cases, passing away. So, what happens when we don't have enough appraisers? This is a problem. We need to have people to, provide valuations to the banks before they lend the money to, purchase the asset. Yeah.
Now we're going to get into exactly what an appraisal is and why it's important for you as a home buyer and a home seller in this market, no matter what market you're in, but especially this crazy one we're in right now. Yeah. So tell us, let's start from the beginning, elementary. What is an appraisal?
Okay, an appraisal is a report that is conducted and created by a licensed appraiser. And so what they're doing is they're doing extensive research on the home, the community, learning all the nuances about that community, putting it all in a pretty package and giving it to the client, and the client is the bank. So the client is not actually the buyer, even though they pay for it. But
right.
The client is the bank.
So you work for the bank pretty much. The bank pays you. The buyer or the seller, depending on the situation.
Yes.
Because in seller's instance is for refinance is when they will need an appraisal. Any other instances where a seller might want an appraisal?
Yeah, because they just want to see, maybe they're, having some, conversation about selling mom and dad's home. And they want to see, hey, what's mom and dad's home value? And so they will hire me to come out and do an appraisal on the home. So they're just wanting to gather information before they decide what they want to do.
Gotcha. And in that case, you work for them.
Yes.
Okay. So, but if they're selling the house or they want to refinance, a seller's point of view. So if they want to refinance the home, then the bank will hire you.
Yes.
And then you give that evaluation back to the bank.
Yes.
Okay. And then in a buyer's perspective, the buyer pays the lender for an appraisal. The bank hires you to go out there and do that appraisal.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that, because when I put on the real estate broker hat and appraiser hat, it's different conversations. But a lot of times the buyer feels like it's mine. I'm the client. You know what I'm saying? Because they paid for it. But no, the bank is.
Explain to us the process from start to finish. So there is a house under contract. The bank calls you, say, hey, Shonnie, come to 123 Park Street and do an appraisal on this home. So how does that go? And what are you looking for?
Yes. So yeah, they'll send me over the assignment. I'll look through the actual contract.
Okay.
So that comes my way to the contract. So I'm looking at the contract and seeing what's going on with that. And then I'll go and inspect the home. So it's not a home inspection.
Okay.
Because that's
Different things.
Two different things. I'm not a home inspector, but we call it the inspection. So I come to the home and I walk around the home. I measure the home, the exterior. I take photos. I observe. I'm looking up. I'm looking down. Looking around, and then I also come inside the home, and I'm walking through the home and taking photos and making observations. That's part of it. I also then have to go back to my desk and do research there. So I'm online researching, pulling data, putting it together and things like that. But we're not really just inspecting the home either. We're inspecting the community. So I'm going to drive through the community. And look and see what's the proximity to the parks and the schools, and just taking all that in so that when the report is finally submitted, it's filled with a lot of extensive data.
So why do the banks want that information?
They got to be careful. They can't just lend money and not knowing what the value of the asset is. They must know what the value is, and they're only going to lend whatever that value is. They're not going to give you more than what the value.
They're not going to give you any more.
No. You're going to get exactly. They'll give you that. They'll give you what, the value is, but they won't give you more.
So speaking of that, let's talk about, since we just said the bank will only lend what the home is appraised for.
Yes.
What happens in the case that the home appraised for more? We'll go with more. Good scenario.
Okay.
More than what they offered on the home.
Well, in that case, that means that the seller is happy and the buyer, because now the buyer is going to think to themselves, ooh, we have equity. This is a great deal. We're not buying at the cap of whatever. We're going in with equity. So that's a good thing. And usually we don't hear anything else from anybody. Like if it appraises for at value or more, we don't hear anything. We're like, oh, this is a great appraisal. But when it comes in differently,
ooh, it's the other side. So let's talk about what happens when it doesn't appraise.
Well, we sometimes will get a call, and
it's so funny because it's one of those things like you're worried about as an agent. You're worried about the inspection. So once the inspection comes through, everyone decides on repairs and stuff. We can move forward. The next big hurdle is the appraisal, and a lot of people, the clients in the transactions, don't realize how stressful this is because we as agents don't have any control over it, but you as an appraiser does.
Yeah.
But even sometimes you can't control the data because the numbers are the numbers.
Yeah.
So it's nerve-wracking to be in this process, and you can't really control the outcome of it. So what happens? Number one, the bank won't lend you more than the appraised value. So then what are our options as the buyers and the sellers in that point of view?
Well, I mean, you can contest it. I mean, you could say, hey, we don't believe in this. This doesn't seem right to us because we have these particular comparable homes, and we feel very strongly about it. We want to contest this. And so if they do that, then, we'll have a look at it. We'll have a look at what your comps, we call them comps. We'll have a look at your comps, and we will, in some cases, we will adjust the value, but it has to be. But it has to be something that's grossly different. If you're talking about 10 grand or something like that, or 20, but if it's like 100 grand, you know what I mean? I've had an instance where we had to go back out because the first appraisal came in at really small number, but 140,000. And then the agent's like, no, you have to see this house. You didn't really look at this house. Went back and saw that there was mold in the closet, a lot of moisture in the house. The ceiling had come down and collapsed in the closets. So things that the initial appraiser didn't capture and didn't see, so they didn't factor that in. So when it's gross errors, you're going to likely see the appraisal numbers changing. Absolutely. But a lot of times the appraiser has done a lot of research. So when you come back and say it should be a certain way, it's like, but if the trend is on a decline, then how can I, as an appraiser, say that it's worth 550?
Right.
We're not on that trend of going up, we're on that trend of going down, perhaps. So you can ask, you can contest it, you can ask, but it's just, we'll see.
We'll see. So let's just say the appraiser, like a lot of times, or it's just known that a lot of times appraisers won't change their numbers.
Yeah.
They're just like, nope, that's what it is. Like you said, they've done so much research. They feel very confident in that.
Yeah.
So a lot of times the buyer is stuck with this low appraisal number.
Yeah.
The bank is not going to lend more than that. So let's just say they offer $300,000 on the house and the house appraises for $290,000.
Okay.
The options that you have as a buyer is to make up that difference of $10,000 out of pocket.
Yeah.
In addition to closing costs, in addition to down payment, extra $10,000. And that wasn't really unheard of in this past market where homes were just flying off the shelf. People were offering appraisal gaps because they were offering so much more we're asking, and they knew the home probably wouldn't appraise.
Right.
Crazy.
Yes, that was interesting.
Very.
Yes.
Would I have done it?
To each his own.
Yeah. If you have it and if you really want the house, sure.
Yeah.
And if you plan on staying in the home long term, sure.
Because you want the house for your family.
Yeah.
You're not.
But if you plan on selling 2 or 3 years,
then is that a strategy you want to implement?
That might not be. That might not be a good strategy. So also another scenario, the seller can lower their price.
Yes.
$10,000.
Yeah.
I don't know who's doing that, but they could. I don't know. Sellers usually don't want to, but if they have a dire need to sell, they might. And then in the next scenario, both could happen. So they meet in the middle, 5 each from each party. That's more feasible. And then the last scenario, as long as within your contingency of appraisal timeline, the buyer can exit the contract.
Yeah.
And get their earnest money back if it's within that time frame.
Right.
If it's
negotiable.
read the contract.
Yeah.
Read the contract. Yeah. So I think that's a nerve-wracking situation.
It is. And I think a lot of times it's really important for the real estate professional to just educate the client on expectations. You know what I mean? So a lot of times that you've priced your home on a higher end. So then it may fall down here somewhere.
Yeah.
Or you priced it low strategically so that, you could, maybe realize a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's just all about, just the education and the expectation that the professional would, provide to the client.
As an appraiser,
Yes.
what's the most extreme situation that you've been in?
In regards to my report, or
has there been any crazy numbers that the house didn't appraise for?
it's been happening a lot lately, actually, where it's this didn't come in at the value that everyone had anticipated. So it's been happening a lot lately, and it's just because our economy is changing. Things are changing. The old days was 3 months ago. So things are changing. So now we're seeing where a lot of times it's not coming in at value. And we're in a declining market, not to make anyone afraid and scared, because the word decline is it's not
It's not fall off a cliff declining.
Don't get nervous.
It is relative. So if you're watching, if you're not in Georgia, you might, or not in the Atlanta area, you might be really in a declining market. In some parts of Atlanta, though, it's not declining. Some parts in Atlanta is going up. So it just depends. So this is just generalizing.
And so it's okay, well, for me, I'm thinking, because I have to keep taking, one hat I put on the other. So I'm man, I wonder if this particular agent, had a conversation with their client about this is what you can expect. Because right now we're seeing, a decline in, prices and things like that. So, is the seller prepared
To have that.
for that lower value, and having to kind of adjust their mind and say, well, you know what, we'll go ahead and take that because we understand we expected that type of thing.
Well, that's great. That's a real good high level overview of appraisal.
Yes.
So it's important if you are in the market, whether you're buying or selling, appraisals will affect you in some kind of way. So I hope you guys got value out of this. Like I said before, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Follow Shonnie on her channels listed down below in the description.
Yes.
And if you're in need of a realtor in the Atlanta area, we're both available. We service all parts of
we are
Atlanta
here for
area.
you.
We're here for you. We're at the same brokerage.
Yes.
We're in the same group. And we just like supporting each other. So
absolutely.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next video. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more beautiful homes in the Atlanta metro area, hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions about this or any other homes featured on my channel, my information is in the description below. Give me a call.